This conference will now be recorded.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order. It's Tuesday, August 3rd, 2021. I would like to acknowledge and respect the fact that we're meeting on Treaty 1 territory, the traditional lands of the Cree, the Anishinaabe, and the homeland of the Métis people. It is nice to have all council members around the table again this time in our CAO. So around the table we have
Mike Bartmanovich, Steve Axelrod,
Erwin Kumka,
Raymond Morrow, CAO.
Graham Randall.
and Penny McMorris, Mayor. So thank you, everybody.
It's been a long time since I've been here, so to mark the occasion, I have purchased a small gift for you. No,
What happens at the lake gets posted on the web. Did you say for good or bad?
that's up to you to decide.
Well, I suppose that's all perspective. Thank you very much. I'm going to hang that. Yeah, thank you.
put that right underneath the,
Thank you, Erwin. I'm all, okay. Adoption of the agenda. Be it resolved, the agenda be adopted as presented. May I have a mover? Erwin, second.
I'll second that.
Graham.
were there any,
Now, are there any additions or deletions?
I just had two, as we have a discussion on when we could have the public hearing for the zoning bylaw. And I would also want to have a discussion on the water conservation bylaw.
Hold on, so we'll just put that under,
You can supposed to. Oh, okay, good.
okay, we'll just put that under other business. Thank you. Anybody else? All right, hearing nothing further, all those in favor? Carried, thank you. We have two sets of minutes. Be it resolved that the minutes of the July 19th, 2021 special meeting of council be adopted as presented. May I have a mover? Steve, thank you. Mike, second. Thank you. These were circulated recently. Everyone had a chance to look at them?
Yes.
Any questions? In favor?
Aye.
Carried. July 20th, 2021 regular meeting of council. Be it resolved the minutes of the July 20th, 2021 regular council meeting be adopted as presented. May I have a mover? Erwin, thank you. Second. Mike, thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, we have no delegations.
Just a reminder for everybody, you still have a delegation right now. So we're still open to delegations if you have something to say publicly. So.
Just follow the process.
Yes.
7 days in advance, and I asked the CAO and small presentation, an idea of what you're presenting.
This has been so long that we've had one. I figured that maybe people
Yeah.
have forgotten. So.
Yeah. Well, we don't have question period anymore, so if you want to come to the delegation, please consider that.
We still want to hear from you.
Right. All right, accounts and finances. Erwin, would you like to do your report now, or would you like to do it after we
I guess
approve?
we'll do it now.
Okay, so Erwin I'll give you the floor then.
You would remember that at the last meeting, I was unable to provide a finance report because there was a late reporting of the information. So this report hinges on the results at the end of June. At the next meeting, we'll have a regular report for July. It's always a pleasure to report good news, and our finances continue to be in good shape. The reserves of the municipality stood at $791,000, and that's up $17,000 over last year. Accounts receivable and miscellaneous assets stood at $3,258,000. That number is higher than normal, but that's because we just sent out all the bills for the taxes. Our cash balance is at $607,000. It's actually down $2.1 million. So that's because of delay in our taxes being paid by our residents. But that should even out very quickly next month. Operating surplus to date is at $1,095,000. And again, it's up $307,000 from last year. If you were to combine cash and receivables and our reserves, we're at $4.6 million. That's that gold line. I like the gold line. It's up $357,000 over the previous year. And if you look at that gold line trend, it remains quite stable. And that's sort of my view, sort of the acid test of the strength of the municipality. It reflects on our ability to pay our bills. Questions?
No.
We continue to be in very good financial shape. Well done.
Thank you very much. All right, so moving on to accounts and finances. Be it resolved, the following list of accounts be approved for payment. Accounts payable check 9463 to 9492, in the amount of $71,957.18. And July 23rd payroll in the amount of $62,877.94. And mover, Irwin, second.
I'll second that.
Graham, thank you. Any discussion?
I have reviewed the list of accounts and there are no unusual items to comment on.
Good.
All right, any other comments? All those in favor? Very good, thank you.
And Mike, I get to sign this.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with myself. I got my note, I'm ready. Come on, toss it over to me for old time's sake. No.
We've been itching to do this for months.
All right, moving on to other business, 2020 audited financial statements. Be it resolved, the Arm of Victoria Beach Council approved the 2020 audited financial statement and authorized the mayor and councillor. Kumka.
I left it blank, so I'm sure.
Yeah.
To sign said statements. Mover,
That,
Graham, thank you. Second. Mike? Thank you. Any further discussion? Any discussion on the audited financial statements?
straightforward.
Well, financial statements are
Yeah,
straightforward,
but
sure.
the resolution is easy.
It's straight line.
Yeah. Raymond, did you have any comments? You're happy with them?
No, I'm fine with the statements. We went back and forth a little bit with the auditing firm, just a matter of tweaking a few lines, but that was it. Everything else is good. And they're very familiar with our municipality, so great to work with.
Mhm.
Very positive.
There were no unusual questions.
No, there were just a few items that, I was questioning to do with accounts that they were changing. TCA versus expenditure account, they did agree that they were expenditure accounts, which
Yeah.
changed your bottom line.
But that's
When
pretty
you put in
easy.
TCAs, yeah. And there was something else, stale dated checks. They looked at the list of stale dated checks and the fellow that was doing them assumed that they were all stale data. So we had that. Those are, honest mistakes kind of thing, like that you, until you go back and forth, you don't realize how it has to be adjusted.
The purpose of the audit is to get an independent review done of the financial institution.
Yeah,
It's required by the municipal act.
and adjusting entries. So it changed some of the adjusting entries.
And normally the auditors would be sitting in the office for.
They don't anymore.
But they don't do it
no,
anymore, yeah.
Very little, because they're not, they used to be more like forensic audits, and for a number of years now, you sign those disclaimers, because it's on management, it's on council to make sure that the municipality is being functioning properly, being managed properly. So what they do is more of a spot checking and reviewing the accounts, making sure everything's done according to statutes or bylaws or minutes, authorization to spend money, those kinds of issues, and how stuff is accounted for. For example, TCA's, tangible capital assets versus expenditure. So
Well,
make sure they're categorized the right way.
The fact that year after year, it's been in good order, that carries so many too, as far as have gained.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thank you. Just the one page?
Yeah, that's the only page where the signatures go.
Okay, thank you. 2022 Board of Revision. Be it resolved, the Arm of Victoria Beach Council be appointed as the 2022 Board of Revision. Further be it resolved, the mayor be appointed as presiding officer and the CAO be appointed as secretary of the board. May I have a mover? Kurt Irwin, thank you. Second? Steve, thank you very much. We don't have a date yet, or do we have?
Yes, there is a date. It's in October. I'm not sure off the top of my head. I think it's the 13th of
Usually the
October.
middle of October, between council meetings.
It's usually on
Tuesday or
Wednesday. I think it is the
Tuesday or
13th.
Wednesday.
It's typically the Wednesday. I mean, we haven't had one for a couple of years, I think, now, because there
Right.
haven't been any appeals.
Right.
So there's no appeals, there's no board of revision.
So that's this October.
Yes, and it's, you're always appealing the year ahead, never
Correct.
appealing the current year.
It is a Wednesday.
So we're gonna, there's some advertising involved and that kind of thing. Whether or not, because we don't know if there's gonna be
Yeah.
appeals.
Yeah, so that's October 13th, 2021
That's correct.
for the 2022 Board of Revision. Any further discussion? Those in favor? Carried. Thank you. The Revised 2021 salary schedule. Be it resolved, the Arm of Victoria Beach Council approved the revised 2021 employee salary schedule dated July 29th, 21. Now, mover. Everyone, thank you. Thanks. Second.
Sure.
And that was also sent out to everyone electronically, and some additions were made that were left off. But better late than never, as Raymond said. Any concerns about the additions?
It's pretty much just a housekeeping.
Yeah.
Bringing the current schedule, making corrections.
Yeah, and we've been through it.
No drastic changes. Missed the bonus to the council.
I don't think we're employees technically.
Yeah.
I think that
Council.
we're special, but we're not technically. All right, any other discussion further? All those in favor? Well, it's nice to look all around. Thank you, Carrie. Look around the table instead of going back to that.
Oh, yeah.
Camera and I think I brought my back to the camera most of the time. My apologies. All right, be it resolved, the Arm of Victoria Beach Council accept quote for a 2021 Farm King 7-foot sickle mower from Leo Sales and Service Limited at a cost of $5,700, excluding applicable taxes. And the mover. Steve, thank you. Second? Mike, thank you.
This is a general purpose mower.
What it is a roadside mower, repairable. One we do ditches and roadsides with.
Mhm.
And so Trevor got a couple of quotes. The other quote was about $2,000 more, and sickle bar mower was a foot narrower. This is actually a foot wider,
Okay.
and it's sized for our tractor.
I was just gonna ask for the existing tractor.
They're, I guess, yeah, it says on the top part, made for 25 horsepower tractor. So, you know, you can't have something that's bigger than the capacity of your tractor.
Doesn't it go on the Kubota?
I believe it does go with Corolla, yes.
So it's an attachment that allows them to go in
Yes.
ditches and more uneven ground. I guess.
Yes. Dylan tried to repair it, Trevor, just no repair.
Well, we've had the old one for quite a while. It's just plain worn out. It's no longer, there's no value,
I didn't ask that question.
probably not.
Scrap metal.
Yeah.
Scrap metal guy.
It's pretty essential. I mean, otherwise you're not gonna be doing any roadsides.
Exactly.
Was it in the budget?
It's not in the budget, but we'll work it. There's always.
Well, it's given, that's given tonight. Okay, sounds good to
It's not a
me.
big ticket.
No, when it's something that's necessary.
Good work to Trevor for finding this thing.
Yeah, so he's done the deal in advance because I've said, yeah, go ahead because it was available. It's in Manitoba. The other one, by the way, wasn't available until September. It
Yes.
wasn't readily available, so it's all of that.
Was needed.
Okay.
Looks good to me.
All right. Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Thanks for speaking for all of us, Greg.
That's a nice job.
All right, the Arm of Whitemouth, asking for support for the resolution. Be it resolved, the Arm of Victoria Beach Council be on record as supporting the Arm of Whitemouth's resolution 185/21. Further be it resolved that the Arm of Victoria Beach Council does hereby urge the Association of Manitoba Municipalities to communicate with Manitoba Hydro, stressing the importance of Hydro's timely input with respect to municipal planning matters. Steve, thank you. Second, Mike, thank you. Any discussion?
Just a little bit of explanation around this is that not just Whitemouth, but other municipalities have started to notice that when asked for input for municipal plans, development plans, they tend not to be very forthcoming with any kind of input, but they're certainly quick enough to say, oh, no, you don't, when the actual plans are presented to Hydro for sign off. So this is essentially asking Hydro to come to the table in the planning phases so that they're not poo-pooing so many development plans, just as they're ready to execute those plans.
Well, the other point is that when there are subdivision applications, either the provincial planner or the planning district will circulate the application to all government agencies that will be affected. Hydro being one of the current corporations that always gets advised. You get a 30-day notice to provide comments. So that's the time when they should be providing
Absolutely.
comments if they have concerns about the proposed subdivision. So that's also part of it.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor? Carried.
And again, not that there's any more huge development on the books for Victoria Beach, but our neighboring municipalities have supported us in our resolutions in the past. And it's good for all concerned to show that solidarity with our neighboring municipalities.
All right, August 17th, 2021, council meeting location for discussion. We heard today that restrictions are being relaxed substantially, effective 12:01 a.m. Saturday, August 7th. If we're going to move our council meeting, our next council meeting, we have to make that decision today. So that's the discussion that we need to have today.
Well, so I already communicated with the social scene. They're in agreement to house our council meetings live, going back to the schedule that we had previously. What I had proposed is that everybody, including council, would have to be 2 meters apart. You would have to be double vaccinated to gain entry. That's not an issue because when you have your second vaccine and you're 2 weeks out from that, it's very easy to go online and just simply get your QR code, which you can print. So you don't need technology to have your QR code. And of course, unfortunately, the immunization cards are, they're not making them right now because apparently they run out of plastic. But when you have that QR code, that's really good enough. I mean, restaurants, cinemas, theaters are all requiring this. And as for the mask mandates, especially once you have the double vaccination, people who are coming into the meetings, I think now that requirement has been lifted, we're just going and protecting ourselves that much better by having only double vaccinated people coming. Because remember, if you are double vaccinated, you can still carry the virus. It's just the likelihood of you being affected is pretty well close to zero, although that can happen. just keeps you out of the ground. So it's also protecting RM by requiring it to be double vaccinated. It doesn't impinge on anybody's rights because you still get to see the council meetings live, well, not live, but recorded. You can still send emails to council. We can still try to figure out some way to have a delegation and accommodate people. So there wouldn't be any issues for anybody who doesn't have the vaccination yet.
The precedent has been set.
Yeah.
Yes.
And for anyone who's interested, I believe that all of us meet the double vaccinated plus 2 weeks criteria. And meetings at the beach, at the senior scene, at the
Social scene.
social scene.
Social scene for seniors?
Yeah. They are streamed, they've traditionally been streamed the following day, so that'll be the same as always.
The social scene now has a very fancy that we need to investigate for media. I'm not sure how it works. I can't remember, but Rod told me that they were successful in getting some kind of new setup for like putting stuff on screens and. But nevertheless, the issue is that the internet is still safe.
Yeah,
So-
they have the
They
best.
can't
We can't live stream it.
They have the best MTS signal that's available out there on copper wire. So it'll be the same as we've used over the last few years, and it works fine right the next day.
So my concern is, and I haven't read the new restrictions or lack of, people, do they still have to sign in? Do you still need someone to confirm vaccination? Tables, separate microphones, cleanup, sterilization of the venue, and that requires volunteers. So as long as the social scene or sports center would, yeah, okay.
They typically look
Question,
at
Betty?
those things.
I fully support the idea of requiring double vaccination, but legally, can we impose that restriction?
The precedent has been set, as long as alternatives have been, can be offered. That's what the ombudsman from across the country
The
has
social
said.
scene is their venue that is making this requirement.
No, it
Social
wasn't.
scene.
I thought, no.
That's what I
It's going to be
proposed.
from council.
That is what I proposed.
They did say on the radio today that individual businesses can impose their restrictions. Should they choose. So
Yeah.
the local hardware store could say, no double vaccination, you can't come in.
And so to that end, for anybody who is thinking that it violates their charter rights, it does not. Article 1 and 26 are very clear that it doesn't violate your charter rights at all by saying that you have to be double vaccinated, because we would be protecting ourselves as well as everybody inside of the venue. And the Museum of Human Rights, whose leader is a human rights lawyer, has even explained very clearly in some very great articles that she released that it does not violate anyone's rights, and businesses do have the right to do that, and it's been supported by the provincial government.
So let's get back to the beach.
So if,
Back to the beach.
can we leave it in administration's hands to check with the social and see what their requirements are? We want to make them stronger.
Mhm.
That's up to us. Our next meeting is August 17th.
Let's be social scene.
So let's aim for the social scene at 7 o'clock. And we can also, we've got one more Herald that we could advertise that in. And if we determine by then that what our restrictions are, we should put that in the BB Herald. So the residents are aware, put it on the website. So residents are aware of what's required. Well, so what were you thinking, Steve? Masks indoors? They're strongly recommended. They're not required,
Yeah.
but they're strongly recommended.
So in the discussions I had with them in my proposal, I actually put, I had sort of two sections. One thing that would be, that wouldn't change until this goes away, which would be double vaccination. I think that may have been one thing that with the 2 meter separation, but then underneath of that was things that would be amendable to provincial requirements. So policies and requirements on the way. So then we should encourage it, but Is it?
Yeah, we can
mandatory?
encourage it, but it's not mandatory.
Yeah, I mean, if you're double vaccinated. you're
Physical
safe.
distancing is still required.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's going to limit capacity.
Why are we worried about that spacing situation? You know, you can go to you will be able to go to a restaurant on a Saturday, as long as you're double vaccinated, and sit 4 people at a table and not be part of the same household. That's the big change.
Well, look, my concern is the social scene is a senior center, so they may be under different restrictions. I'm not entirely sure. But
Let's take their lead
Yeah,
then.
yeah.
Let's-
Yeah.
What they require, let's follow.
It's their building, they'll
Yeah.
call the tune.
all right, and we will let the public know in one of our upcoming Herald articles as well. And on the website.
Oh, mileage money we're gonna save.
Yeah.
Are you? Okay. Raymond's going to do a resolution.
Saved a lot during the pandemic.
She
I don't have an expense sheet. I haven't had one all year.
So we talking 7 p.m.
I think 7 p.m. Yeah.
Cocktails at 6:30.
It will be nice to be able to see some people back at our council meetings if they come.
As far as the volunteers to look after this and that Raymond has alluded to, do we need to identify or delegate somebody in advance who will check for double vax credentials?
I think we need to follow
We need a
social
greeter,
scenes.
Yeah, we require a greeter.
and some, okay, and that'll be,
I think that would be
Someone
the
from
social
this-
scene.
that's good, yeah.
Yeah. So the resolution is, be it resolved that the August 17th, 2021 regular council meeting be held at the social scene, Victoria Beach at 7 p.m. Yeah, we'll move it. Mike, thank you. Steve,
Sorry,
second.
Steve, that's your.
How do the initials on sides?
And
All those-
any further discussion? Right, then we'll leave it up to admin to. Leave it up to admin to follow up with the social scene. Raymond, admin will follow up with the social scene.
Yeah, as to what their restrictions are.
Yes.
Sure.
All right, all those in favor?
Now,
Beth and both of them.
Yeah.
Thank you. Coming up next, 2 additions, the public hearing.
So to be clear, are we now going back to the old schedule where the second meeting will be at the beach?
During
I
the
guess
summer,
there was a group of them at
In
the
the summer,
beach.
they were all at the beach.
they were all at the beach.
Yeah, prior to the pandemic, we were meeting every second meeting.
That's true.
We should-
Well, that's for
I
the
think we-
next council meeting.
Yeah, we discussed.
Okay.
Yeah,
We had switched to nothing but the beach all summer.
Right,
you might choose to stay with that, but we have the next meeting.
Okay, we have next meeting to
Yeah,
discuss it.
so think about it.
We're thinking.
All right. The public hearing for the zoning bylaw 1622. Now, I know there's some planning act restrictions or regulations that we have to follow. But Steve, you had some.
Yeah, so it's a 30 days notice, and obviously it'll have to be advertised. I think especially after the announcement today, I think we can definitely start to say that, you know, we can find a date for the hearing. I personally would like to get this out of the way as soon as possible, so that we can start moving on it, because we haven't worked on it for so long. But in terms of the community center, which is where I'm proposing that we have this, it essentially said the exact same thing as I said at the social center with I don't think very little difference aside from people who aren't double vaccinated. We can set something up outside with the announcement today. That kind of changes some things. But I would like to see us, you know, get something within the next month and a half at the outset, to be able to say, you know, let's have this here. So then that way we don't get caught next year. At the beginning of summer, if we were to have it, because I think we have to have it when as many residents are available as possible. But if we're to wait until, you know, spring or early summer next year, then we don't have a lot of time to be able to get this thing done, because then there's an election, and then of course we're all going to be busy. So that is what I would like to see, is for us to, either confirm a date today or a couple of days that we can look at, but I would like to say about a month and a half at the outset to get it.
Well, Raymond, I think you have, what is the planning app say? I thought it was
I
40
have to do
days.
some research. I mean, we don't want to just come up with a date.
Yeah.
Checking.
But you would like to find something in mid-September.
Yes.
I thought it was 40 days you had to advertise.
No, I think it's a minimum 30 days. Joining the municipality, the minister. And the publication is a 46-day window, twice within that window.
40 to 6 day
Yeah,
window.
yeah, so in other words, you could advertise it 21 days from the day of your hearing, and again, 14 days from the day. And you're complying, I'm talking about the Winnipeg Free Press
Yeah.
Act, and then you're complying.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, there's no way around that. And then the other one is the other component is circulation, which is the Yarmouth Alexander, the planning and specifying district, the government of Manitoba. That I believe is a minimum 30-day window. But I have to do the ad. And
But
it's not a matter of just-
these are all happening concurrent.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Second, okay, so we're not looking at the next.
The more regular, I think the more limiting one is the notice to the other entity.
Yeah.
I think that is 30 days, but no quote. I'll check that. But I also have to create the ad. You can't just
No.
throw a piece of paper at them. You have to,
Mhm.
there's a formality to the ad.
Who would the meeting be at? The community center, or would it be in town here? If we're
I
talking
don't think
late
there would be
September.
enough room in its office.
No, perhaps
So
a venue across the street or something.
So the community center, when I spoke to them, they said that we can use the full building, which if I remember correctly, they said it's about 150 people that they can just fit inside the arena itself. But then their mics are available in the whole building.
Well, if they do it in the curling area with the new easing of restrictions, we should be able to have more than enough space. And any that would be interested.
Would you have it on a Saturday or a Sunday?
It's Saturday.
I think it would have to be a Saturday.
Will you be able to resolve the various deadlines and criteria for the next council meeting?
So that we're ready with a resolution next
Yes.
meeting? Okay.
Thank you.
Is that okay?
Yeah,
We
yeah, yeah.
defer to then? Okay.
As long as we have like this year, well,
Yeah.
we can get as many people coming out as possible.
Agreed.
Yeah, we'll need
for
to.
sure.
Time, place.
Yeah.
Because that has to be.
Yeah.
You have to have that first out.
Okay.
I know for our development plan bylaw, it was at the social scene. And it was pretty full.
Mhm.
So the social scene maybe happened as well. I don't know, but
I
I think
think,
spread it around.
I think that the curling area is your best bet.
Yeah,
or something like that.
And it's had soundproofing put in, well, sound deadening put in, so there's no longer,
It's much
if you
better.
whisper, you're hearing 1,000 echoes.
I call bingo in there and everybody hears me.
You could call bingo from your house.
Do you call bingo in the curling rink area?
Yeah,
or-
in the curling rink area, yeah.
And I have another question about the hearing and is it only written submissions or can people do oral submissions? That's something.
No, people, if they're in person,
Okay.
absolutely.
They can't
Okay.
make submissions.
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't take phone complaints or
Okay.
objections or comments. You send us an email, you send us snail mail, you appear in person,
Mhm.
all good. And
Okay.
back, if you're gonna appear in person, ideally, it's nice to have the paper version of what you're presenting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's helpful,
right.
because then we use that, whatever we have to do from an administrative standpoint, following that hearing.
Yeah.
It's helpful, we don't have to be writing notes.
We can provide a far more informed answer.
Exactly.
Well, another thing that we can do is to record it, right? And then it's
We
just,
can record.
Yeah.
it,
But if
But it
people,
depends on the availability.
provide a written copy of their
That's all.
submission.
Yeah, that's-
Because if you have to go back to people, you need emails or you
Yeah.
need, like you have administratively, you have to.
Everybody who appears will have to be notified if council's giving the bylaw a second reading. And also the opportunity to be able to ask people.
So what would be the protocol in terms of how it's to be operate? Mayor, Morris, chair of the meeting, or you wouldn't have a third party?
Typically, it's the council.
And then hopefully our planner would be there,
Ideal.
ideally, because she is probably even more familiar with the bylaw than we are, and would be able to answer some of the questions for the provincial aspect of things as well.
So there'll be no spontaneous comments made unless you have submitted something already. Not necessarily. So there will be an opportunity. to question.
Yeah, it is a public meeting.
So there's an opportunity to ask questions, but we may not be able to provide all the answers.
Exactly.
And it's not a debate, it's really a listen.
Absolutely.
I would say we should put like for any of the like in the Herald or whatever, just like put a request to send in, the questions ahead of time, so that way we can be as prepared as possible. And they can still like freestyle it, like once they get up there, but at least then we'd have some understanding. of what they're talking about.
So we'll table this till the next meeting and have more information.
Okay.
All right, thank you very
So
much.
that's typically, that's going to push us into late September.
Yeah,
For your actual.
It's still going to be summer.
The actual. What happens at the hearing in terms of numbers.
all right, thank you very much. Steve, water conservation bylaw.
Yeah, so currently our water conservation bylaw, the way it's written is very standard, what they have in nearly all municipalities going across the country. The problem is that's not enforceable. And it really doesn't help too much either. The water restrictions, when you put them in, don't really surmount too much, because what happens is the way that's run right now is that we do an east-west. It's east-west, is it?
There's nothing in our bylaw about odd or even numbers, to my knowledge. It just says water conservation. There's nothing about even or odd or east or west or 100%.
Okay, then perhaps I read the wrong one. Right, but regardless, what I would like to see in our water conservation bylaw, because one of the problems that we face right now is that the majority of our water that is being used is for irrigation purposes. And in drought years, which are going to become more and more common, and hopefully nothing ever again like this, is that at some point we may have to enforce a water conservation bylaw. So what I would like to see is for a very simple, easily enforceable requirement, saying that if we do enforce a water conservation bylaw, that the only irrigation that you could use would be drip irrigation, soaker hose irrigation, subsurface irrigation, or handheld irrigation. So the handheld would just be a standard, soaker, or sorry, a standard hose. So that way you can fly your water pan. The problem is that spray irrigation, just people leave it on all night. You can still leave on your drip irrigation all night. You can still leave on your soaker hose irrigation all night. Same with your subsurface. But the demands that it puts on the water, on the water system is negated by 60 to 80% if we allow for only drip, soaker hose, subsurface, and handheld irrigation. If we do any other kind of system that allows for spray irrigation, then we're just going to continue to have the same demands on the water system. And it also, for essentially whatever type of system that we put in, you're still losing most of that water. This allows for just retention of water, takes a massive demand off of the water system, and protects our equipment.
We're looking at a separate bylaw or an amendment to an existing bylaw.
You'd have to rewrite it.
I think a rewrite.
And could it somehow be tied to the no fire regulation that's in place? Yeah, the fire.
How do you see that?
Well, when the fire ban is in place, these regulations will
I see what you mean.
I think that would make a lot of sense, but that's.
Well, one kind of goes with the other.
Actually, probably, that might even go as far as put a little bit more teeth
Yes,
into.
Well, then a big red size there.
Spray irrigation.
yeah.
Yeah. That's
Not the dam scrapers.
It's not a bad thought, Graham.
I did talk to Trevor last week about the water, because we sent that notice out on Friday. To remind people to fire. And I said, what's the water consumption like? He said, it's great. People are listening.
Hmm.
So
Thank
So
you,
that-
Victoria Beach.
that is really
Wonderful.
positive. I
Excellent, thank
wanted to
Yes.
to thank people for that, because they are listening. It's okay to let your grass go brown.
Yeah, but
It's
going
making a
forward,
difference, so.
notwithstanding the cooperation,
Mhm.
which benefits us all, but going forward, it would be handy if we had a device that would enable us to implement water conservation. We may not need it this year, or they may continue to cooperate, but if we've got a tool
Mhm,
available to us if and when it's ever needed,
mhm.
it might not be a bad idea.
But if you tie it in with a fire ban bylaw,
Yeah, then it gets
then
complicated.
it gets complicated. I mean, what if water conservation isn't the issue? What if, I think they need to be separate. I'm not sure they should be tied together.
In the interest of keeping it simple, it seemed to me that if there's a fire ban on, there should be a ban on all watering of all plants. In my case, I have not used my municipal water for my plants all summer. I have two big 45-gallon drums. I collect water off the roof now. I'm just about running out, but nevertheless, conserving nature's water is important in a drought year. I mean, there are places in southwestern Manitoba where municipalities are running out of water.
Well, this is a tool to be implemented only when we feel it's needed, in conjunction with.
But a total ban, heck, we can't even monitor our dogs and their stop signs. How are we ever going to monitor our watering systems?
Well, I mean, for spray irrigation, it's very easy. You walk by, you see water in the air, and then that's irrigation, because that's exactly what spray is. The problem, and I hear the logic with how simple it is. The problem is that then all the plants in the RM go dry.
That's what happens in a drought.
Yeah, but that increases the risk to the residents, right? Because if all the trees are suddenly
If you all had rain barrels, a lot of the problem would be solved.
and
There hasn't been any rain. I'm surprised you had full rain barrels.
We had a wonderful rain about 10 days.
Yeah, we've got 2 full barrels as well. That's what we use for
I've got
water.
1 barrel, but it didn't catch.
so
Must
if
be
I,
a bad location.
Need a bigger roof.
if I can give just a little bit of background on driven subsurface, they're used in Israel, which obviously is a desert, which has been greened. And the whole idea of driven subsurface was to allow for deserts to be able to effectively use water, conserve it, and still have a green vegetation.
Don't
So-
understand, I'm not against it. I think it's a wonderful idea, but it comes down to, and we struggle with this on just about every issue. We have rules and we don't have the ability to enforce.
Yeah, the issue is, do we need an amended water conservation bylaw? Do we need a new water conservation bylaw? I kind of agree with Penny. I think it would be dangerous and down the road potentially constricting if we tied water conservation just to fire bans.
I think you just put a clause in the
Yeah.
fire ban on.
Well, yeah, immediately
put that
on
in
the
the
water
water
conservation
conservation.
bylaw. If any time there's a fire ban.
The two go hand in hand. If you got a fire ban on, you probably got a drought.
I'm good with one or the other. I'm good with changing it just like we have 2 separate where we put this into action, or tied into firemen. I really like that idea,
Yeah.
but
Brandon, would you care to undertake the writing of an amendment to the existing bylaw that we could bring forward as a resolution, and then to the next meeting and deal with it? And it's there if we need. Right.
which we never have. But
And we
again,
hope
if this
we never-
happens
and we
again,
hope we never will.
yeah,
There's lots of things where.
Yeah.
Having a backup that you hope you'll never have to use
Yeah.
as well.
yeah. And I think especially adding just a handheld in there, then it still allows people to have their water pots. So it's not putting anybody out. And
Okay, thank
You're
you.
all right with that?
Yep.
Yes, Councilman. Thank you. Correspondence? Graham?
One item of correspondence, which I believe you've all seen, is from a resident's property owner who is asking for permission to armor the face of the dike along their frontage
At once.
at Wanda's.
Oh, I have not seen that.
Oh, okay. I'm not at liberty to disclose the party's name, of course. They've asked for municipal permission. Now, this speaks to some definitions. I know that within most of Wanasing, including where this person is located, the dike is on municipal property. Is it safe to presume that the face of the dike, the waterside face of the dike, is also on municipal property? Thereby, the municipality could, if it chooses to, issue an okay. We don't have a permit to just say, okay, it's okay with us. If there's any doubt about that, then I think as a courtesy to this resident, we owe them a reply. The other alternatives are to refer them to CTEC and or Sheldon for an opinion. They don't, nobody issues permits. CTEC doesn't, Sheldon doesn't, municipality doesn't issue a permit. We could say it's okay to proceed. So perhaps our reply to this individual could be a referral to CTEC and or Sheldon. Has everybody
I
seen
suggest
this letter?
CTEC.
Yeah, with respect to Sheldon, I would recommend you to CTEC and consult the Baird report as well as going to the shoreline.
All right, well, the next step would
There
be
is
to.
no shoreline committee.
Yeah.
Was it just
Well,
dismissed?
it hasn't been in effect or used since project was done
2017.
on the 4th Avenue stairs.
Yeah.
This council has not resurrected the shoreline committee.
Right.
So in my mind, there is no shoreline committee at this point in time,
Right.
but there is CTEC and there is the Baird report. My understanding is Wanasing is Crown land. The beach at Wanasing is Crown land. Unless
But
it's,
the dike is on municipal property, is it not? Well, we all have,
not if we don't own it.
okay, we all have our lot lines.
Yeah.
You know, presumably 30 feet in front of our house. All right, this requires clarification
Right.
before we can formulate a reply. I suggested a reply in some form is in order, but
Yeah.
let us wait until,
It's Crown.
Yeah.
Wanasing's Crown.
Yeah, it's now, so you have to
Okay.
go to the province.
all right. But the next step is I will distribute this
Sure.
letter so we all have it.
Okay.
Okay.
And then I think,
And then Raymond's quite capable of responding to it.
Mhm.
And I think that would be in order. Okay.
I would like to see us still come up with some kind of reply to that request because of what has happened in the past. That is just simply said that we don't care what council thinks and we're going to go ahead with it anyway.
Yeah, well, we're
So
gonna,
if we can have some teeth in this, just to simply say we are either for.
At least this person is.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, it has already been done at one or two other locations in Wanasing. The idea is that the contractor goes right through the person's property, their lot down their driveway, stops on top of the dike and places the stones on the face of it.
Face of the
Yeah.
dike.
Anyway, let me circulate this correspondence and thank you for listening. And Raymond will ask our advice or he'll deal with it directly in his infinite wisdom. Thank you.
hmm,
I think the key issue is trying to determine whether or not this is on Crown land, in our land, or the landowner. Because if it's on the landowner's land, that's.
No, it's not on the landowner's land. The landowner, the particular land, it gets complicated at once because the dike wanders
it doesn't
onto
want to, yeah.
people's territory. This is not one of those cases where this is actually not on the property owner's property.
It's on Crown land. So
It's in
yeah,
Crown.
there's no municipal land there whatsoever.
Okay, so you're halfway towards clarifying this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, yeah, and a reminder that Shoreline Erosion Technical Committee provides recommendations. They have no teeth. All they can say is, well, recommend you do this. You know, they,
Right. So if this person gets a recommendation, secondhand permission from CTEC or Sheldon, they would then present that to council, and we would ultimately rule on whether that. No, that's right. At that point,
They present to the
at
province.
that point, we have no control.
That's right.
Until we get those darn beaches in our own hands. So we can look after them.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
but if they do look at the Baird report, which I think is still online,
Yep.
on our website, one of the strong recommendations from the Baird report is consistency. So if one person does it, you could impact the people beside you, and that is an emergency dike. So what you do can't impact your neighbors.
Right.
So essentially, everyone should be doing it, or no one should be doing it.
This
Wannising's a mess.
This has to be done at the property owner's own expense. There's no way in the world that everybody on Wabanong is going to go for
Correct,
this.
but what he does, if he gets approval to do it, could impact the dike. Water tends to, in the Bear report, it swirls around. If there's a revetment, it'll swirl around and dig away.
It'll eat away at the edges, yeah.
Yeah,
So
well,
that's why Bear report says if you're gonna do it in one location on a reach, you do it on
Yeah, do it
all
all.
of them.
well, Sheldon will take that into account, or he won't, or CTEC with their decision. That certainly has not been the case where the face of the dike has been armored in other locations.
Those armaments that have been put in place once that were done without permit.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yep.
And there's all sorts of stuff in the lake in Wannising that is
That's still
still
problematic.
problematic, yeah.
Well, let's get
So-
control of our beaches, but
Yeah.
I don't think this person's able to wait that long.
Are we any further along with the discussions with Sheldon?
No, not really. He's waiting to hear from other people in his group and he's working with 2 or 3 other municipalities as well. So we're trying to coordinate the whole thing. with-
Well, we knew it would be a long process.
Spring, I mean, I got the impression that he wanted to move along fairly quickly.
Well, and we all would, but we've got to do it properly. It's not gonna be fast.
Well, it's been 100 years. It's going to take a few more months. I got the impression that Sheldon was trying to move this along, but it's going to take time.
Yeah, COVID has slowed down a lot.
Mhm.
Various departments, whatever we deal with, has slowed down a lot of responses, the quantities and action. It's just,
Okay, well,
So you could circulate that
Yeah.
and
thank you for letting me
we
speak to that.
can formulate
Okay,
we have more information from you. Anything else, Graham, while you were on a roll there?
no other items within correspondence up to and including 10 minutes ago that I would like to bring to this.
Erwin?
A personal comment, I was delighted to see 2 weekends back, presence on Albert Beach by our police. 2 constables walking down the beach. This past weekend obviously is the busiest weekend of the year. My granddaughter went up Pitt Road, counted 50 cars on the road parking, plus 100 cars in the parking lot.
Wow.
That beach probably had 1,000 people on it. Dogs, marijuana, garbage,
Liquor.
liquor. Can we not, have a regular, it's the busiest beach in all of the municipality. We need to have a presence there on Saturday and Sunday. Please.
I just wanted to say that, I'm not sure if I ever said this one publicly, but I would like to formally request that we ask RM of Alexander to shut that parking lot down. And I would like to ask the province to put a no amenities sign underneath the Grand Beach turnoff. So that way, rather than turning off to Grand Beach and learning afterwards that they have amenities there, that we can have the Grand Beach turn off, say underneath of it, that what amenities they have our signs separated underneath of our sign saying no public amenities. Because otherwise that will continue. But that parking lot is causing more people to come out because they think that it's just,
It's not gonna happen, Steve.
Well, the basic difference is that parking lot is free.
And that the parking lot was put there to get people off of Pitt Road.
Well, it's
And,
full,
uh,
Pit Road is
And
full
now
too.
Pitt Road is full.
Have we, or should we, written to RM of Alexander expressing our serious concerns about the effects of this parking lot? Do they know how much trouble it's causing us?
It's
Have we
a
told them?
safety issue, cars coming down the little lane, dumping off, people backing up.
That begs another question. Now that things are starting to free up, we're almost 2 years overdue for face-to-face with RM of Alexander. Maybe that should be the first item on the agenda. And we should start looking for dates in September.
Previous councils have certainly communicated with John and Alexander about the issues of beaches and on the beach. That's a number of years ago.
But it's a different
With no-
administration in our
Different
May
councils.
that there was. Let's get together and make it number 1 or 2 or 3 on the table. And there are, as you know, you can very quickly think of 3 or 4 other things to bring to that. And those get-togethers were successful, quite productive. So let's do it again. Okay.
Right?
I only have one thing, which is over on, I was over on Clubhouse Beach, and those signs that say kite surfers only are not stopping them from going all the way over. I saw maybe 4 instances where children almost got plowed over by a kite surfer who decided to do a flip, not know where he was going, and he almost landed on children. I would like to see those, I'd like to see maybe half of those removed, if not all but one, and only allow them right in. They can go straight out of the water if they want to. They can go flying through Lake Winnipeg and all the way to Gimli, I don't care. But they should not be streaming straight into the shoreline, cutting across and putting other people's lives at risk. Like they were going past the clubhouse. And they simply
And
fully
not-
dominated the whole thing.
And not far enough out.
Not anywhere. They didn't go anywhere. They just stayed in by the shoreline. Like it's, and I respect them. Listen, I want to like buy a kite surfing rig of my own, but I'll be damned if I'm going to put other people's lives at risk just because I want to have a little bit of fun.
I noticed, I have to say, I was down on Clubhouse Beach on Sunday, and I walked down that way, and there are 4 signs that are not municipal signs, to my knowledge, that say designated area for kite surfing and
Yes.
windsurfing. Those are not, to my knowledge, municipal.
Then let's rip them out.
Do we know who put them up?
We need to rip them out.
Well, they're, I
Do we
mean,
care?
and I don't think they're municipal signs because they're on the round poles, which we don't do anymore. And I don't recall having that discussion. And there
No.
is a small sign that when I was first elected, I remember getting installed at the beach, and it's much smaller, or it's lower to the ground, but that was our sign. So I don't know who put in the new signs, but I don't believe it was the municipality.
Well, then like that should be the first thing on the list. Pull them out. And I think, and like I'm not again, I don't want to piss anybody off because like it's a very fun activity.
Yeah.
And maybe you can have like an entry exit spot, like all the way down to the end of the beach, so that this is where you come in, this is where you leave. But it can't, like, because those poles go really far out, and they have been going all the way over and just dominating
You
that.
know, you almost need buoys in the water.
Yes.
Going out,
Yeah.
saying stay to this side until you get out.
Yeah, well,
The
and-
problem is putting the buoys in and out of the
Yeah,
water. We
well-
can't even get King Edward done properly
Yeah.
sometimes. 'Cause we
Well,
don't have
the boys are ideal for
boating.
jet skis, water skiers,
Well, they're
all
starting
that
to
sort of
come
stuff.
into-
Stay outside of a certain line. It's been tried and thought of, and the expense is prohibitive.
I don't think it's been tried. I don't know what the expense is. I thought Lynn checked with the province or Coast Guard, whoever allows buoys to be put in the water, and they said, yeah, you can go ahead and do them, but we never took the next step. And again, it's who puts them in and takes them out, because they can't sit there all winter.
I think we should look into it though, because there was also jet skis, and actually like, and jet skis are one thing as long as, you know, if it's jet powered. But there was also a motorboat that came through with blades in the water. And all it takes is for one kid to say, oh, hey, let me see how far I can swim. And then they come up with the wrong spot, and now you lost a kid. I mean, and I'm not trying to be over dramatic, that can honestly happen. And we had a problem years ago with the wind service, and, you know, they changed their behaviors, and it was great. But that was on another day that we saw that. And jet skis were coming right into the shoreline, taking people going down. This one motorboat was sort of, you know, dogging it around close to the beach. And it's just like, what are you doing? So I think that we should look at the buoys, but at the very least, we need to rip those signs out that says designated area. Maybe leave the last one in all the way to the end.
Leave one in, because you do want to be able to say, look, you can go over there.
Yes, exactly.
Can we ask?
They're on ground land.
Yep. Can we ask about hassle on
They're on
the
ground
public
land.
works to remove?
They're on the
Just be
bank.
good stewards.
They're quite a ways up the shoreline, but
Yeah.
that's still crown land.
And we could get one that has an arrow pointing to the south, and that way it's just like, you know, just that way. So it's not like this whole area, it's just that way.
Originally, they were put up to give the kiters and the surfers room to rig and de-rig. Because they're, you know, if you've got a big kite, it's quite large. Same with some of the sails, they can be not as large as a kite, but it was more to give them room to rig and de-rig. You know, without buoys, you can't really stop where they,
Well, we
where they play.
have so many miles of shorefront to deal with as far as marker buoys, like Grand Beach, it's very simple, just one big long straight stretch. But I know Albert Beach could benefit from markers. Monastery has the line of boats parked offshore, serves as the boundary line for motorized traffic, but that's by community agreement.
Well, someone got stuck at the end of 504 this weekend with a truck trying to get their boat in the water, and they had to get 2 tractors to pull their truck out of the water.
Yeah, there's a layer of greasy blue
More
clay,
good stuff,
not too far below the surface of the sand.
Point of order?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, and go get your vaccines, please. I want to stop all these restrictions. Please.
Mike, do you have anything?
A lot of inquiries about the bear resistant bins.
Yes.
And I do want to clarify, these are bear resistant bins. They are not bear proof bins. Nothing can be built practically that is bear proof. Bear resistant means that these bins are certified to withstand a black bear's assault for an hour. Now, when a bear grabs your bin and drags it off into the bush, it is a lot more than an hour to give it a good working over. And 1 or 2 of the over 100 bins that have been distributed have been breached. There's one particularly large bear who makes pretty quick work of the latching systems. Anyway, all that aside, we have an emergency supply of 70 bins that should be here within the next 2 weeks. There's a further 100 bins that are on back order. COVID has affected the bear bin industry like it's affected everything else, unfortunately. So those who are on the list, hopefully your bins are coming very quickly. A reminder to everybody that as of May 2022, if you use curbside pickup, you will no longer receive it without a bear resistant container. No more plastic garbage bags on the end of your driveway. No more aluminum cans without lids on the edge of your driveway.
Or with lids.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to call it a ride along with the public works guys last week. And I did several blocks with them, just following behind them and watching how far into yards they have to go to get garbage. And I discovered that there's something in the Herald that talks about the garbage pickup schedule, and it says, leave your bins way in your yard. Okay, that's wrong. Leave your bins as close to the roadway as they can be, placed safely, so that Public Works can far more efficiently pick up your garbage, move along.
Same place you pile your brush at the edge of the municipal road.
I saw how easy it is for them to open the bear-resistant containers, dump the garbage, and leave them. So please, if you think that the $215 is too expensive, contact the RM office. I'm sure there are payment options that we can work out with anybody who wants a bear-resistant container. If you feel you already have a bear-resistant container, contact me to have it evaluated. We do have some criteria that we will evaluate your bear-resistant container against. And if you think that means automatically I'm going to say no, I've already approved 2 bear-resistant containers that people will be able to use and continue to enjoy curbside service. Curbside service is also available to everyone in Victoria Beach, whether you are in the VRA or not in the VRA. If you are a taxpayer in the RM of Victoria Beach, you can have curbside pickup. But starting next May, that curbside pickup will only be provided to people who use bear-resistant garbage containers.
The key word is curb, not
Behind your shed.
Not behind your shed, yeah.
2/3 of the way down your
That's right.
driveway.
They're not going in to get it anymore. And anybody who still leaves garbage without a bear-resistant container will be subject to littering fines.
There's been a couple comments made about why would we spend the money on a bin that we only use 10 days out of the year? And my response would be, you can put your garbage in the bin and lock the bin every day until garbage pickup.
Yeah.
So it's not just that there are 10 summertime garbage pickups. You can store your garbage safely in your outdoor garbage bin.
Where do they put their garbage? They don't put it in the garbage can.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know. So, I mean, yes, 215 sounds like a lot of money, but I've been looking online.
You won't find a better deal.
I guess because we're buying in
We're
bulk.
buying in bulk.
And these are Canadian made, correct?
These are manufactured in mainly British Columbia. Now, they do use some US parts, but these are assembled and manufactured in BC.
And they're very easy to roll out. I have one.
The same as the ones I wanted. And if you don't want a bin, don't want to use a bin, you can take your garbage as well as your recycling to Public Works.
For now, yeah.
For now, because that site is going to be changing too.
Yep.
And we're going to fence it and we're going to protect it from bears and other scavengers.
I can honestly answer Randy's question quite plainly. If you want taxes to go up, then ignore the rules. If you don't, no. So it costs substantial amounts of resources to go find a bear, kill it. Or, sorry, first we move it, then it comes back because that's the way that bears are, because it finds free food, especially with the people who are causing the problem in the first place, leaving their garbage out on the. I was so frustrated, and that's what I'm minding by just biking my way over to the store and finding at least 9 places that have just regular bag garbage out. They're the ones that are causing the problems primarily. And again, they move the bear comes back because it will, and then they have to kill it. And we're the ones who have to be doing all of this work. So it is causing your taxes to go up. So just don't do it. And the next time that you're biking down and you see a bear running through, and you realize that you're the one that's putting out bag garbage, realizing that you are the problem.
Well, the proof in the pudding will be after next May long weekend.
Yes, absolutely.
The office is going to get lots of calls. You didn't pick up my garbage.
Well, the thing
Well,
is,
you don't have a bin. And furthermore, if you leave it there, you'll be fined for littering. Now, have a nice day. Goodbye.
Are there, through this company, are there bins that we could put more industrial bins that are still able to be emptied by Public Works without a new truck
Yeah,
at the pier?
that could be emptied on a daily basis, like in a provincial park or any other.
So
park.
at the pier and
Capacity.
at the clubhouse, because the garbage truck cannot back in.
Yeah, and I've
The golf
been
course.
thinking of that myself, yeah, the golf course, Sandy Bay,
The store,
any place where there are public beaches or public
So with
areas.
bigger, more
Yeah,
industrial signs.
approximately double the capacity at least. Well, that would be a municipal expense.
Yeah,
And I
it
would
would.
think that has to go into the budget for next year.
But as somebody said to me, if the RM isn't going to show that they're doing something different, why should I buy a bin? And I said, okay,
Good point.
well, we are going to be doing things differently.
Mhm.
We are going to be moving garbage and recycling, making it safer for bears and for humans.
Yeah.
But valid point, the golf course, the store, the bakery, the Moonlight, the various beach accesses that are accessible to Public Works.
Mhm.
Need
Absolutely.
some kind of
Something has
building
to be there
system.
because day visitors to Victoria Beach aren't going away anytime soon. And
Nor should they.
infrastructure, I'm sorry, is just not going to put up the sign that could solve a lot of our problems. They're not going to do it. So we have to accommodate. And
Mike, can you get a smaller version of that Paris container that we now have? Some people have said to me, I'd like a smaller one so I could handle it. You're a little older.
we're dealing with one size and they are on wheels. I'm hoping, because these are actually a little bit smaller than the very first prototypes that we.
Yeah, they are.
They are?
They actually
I thought it was a smaller one again.
I can,
Logistically, then you're dealing with two different sizes.
yeah, I am dealing with two
And it
different
would
sizes.
probably.
I'm trying to ensure that everybody's got one that
If
needs
someone
one.
wants.
Yeah, I
Smaller
can-
one, it's
Well, they can buy one of their own.
Yeah.
Rather than.
They can buy one of their own,
They
or
don't have to buy it from us.
I know there are smaller ones. I can talk to the manufacturer about smaller ones.
Smaller ones and bigger ones for more industrial,
Yep.
commercial
Yeah.
use, yeah. All right, anything further on the garbage, Mike?
No, my contact information is on the website.
Yeah.
Or you can, if you like and join the RM of Victoria Beach Facebook page, I'm the person that authors that page. You can message me with any other questions that you might have. I'm happy to respond.
And yes, it was noted earlier that there was an error on our website with respect to doctor's hours. On the website, it says 5:30 to 7:30, and the correct hours are 5 to 7 during the week, except Sunday and Wednesday, and that is being corrected.
Okay.
Thank you very much. All right, anything else, gentlemen?
I was only just going to comment on this one. You got 32 gallon bin for $286. And that is quite a bit smaller than what we,
Is that bear resistant?
or bear resistant.
$286.
Sorry, $289.
$289, $215, not a bad price.
Go big.
Yeah, go big. That's
All
what we
right.
see around the poker table. Go big or go home.
All right, gentlemen,
Wind it up.
wind it up. Be it resolved that the August 3rd, 2021 regular council meeting be adjourned. Next regular council meeting will be held on August 17th, 2021
Sorry.
at 7 PM at the social scene in the arm of Victoria Beach. May I have a mover? Mike,
So moved.
second, Steve. All those in favor? Carried.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Victoria
gentlemen.
Beach.
Like a